Welcome to the second episode of Just Chill, It's Only Sports. It is the 2nd of January, the year of our Lord 2026. And full disclosure, I meant to do this episode a couple days ago, but then I started doing research about MVPs and seasons, and I started making this Excel sheet that's really, really neat and colorful. I got notes about stuff that I won't talk about here, but that took me 3 days to do. It's a project I'm working on, right? Sometimes I mentioned trains in that last episode, and this is a train moment for me. I just got kind of caught up. I watched a college football game yesterday for the first time in, I'm gonna say 5 years, maybe longer. I don't do college sports, never have. I'm strictly pros, but I did want to see Fernando Mendoza, and I watched them kind of just beat the brakes off of Alabama there for a minute. But then I also noticed that Fernando Mendoza looks like Tom Brady and Gronk had a baby, and that baby was a little Mexican guy that plays quarterback for the Indiana Hoosiers. And he's not little, he's like 6'5". You get it. Anyways, so this week we're going to talk about, there are 16 games in the NFL this week. It's week 18. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year because you get a lot of weird stuff. And there are some games that matter, and then a lot of games that are kind of just whatevs. So I'm going to break down those games. And then I'm going to set us up for the next one when we talk about the MVP race. I'm probably going to do that one tomorrow because that's what I've been researching. I've been looking at the MVP stuff. I hate, with a capital hate, how the NFL, how all these leagues do the MVP. It's not the best quarterback on the best team thing. I despise it. We watch these games for 4 months or whatever it is, and we see who the best players are. We know who the best players are, but just because one guy gets his team gets the 5th place, and the other guy gets the 2nd place or the 1st place, just because somebody's a quarterback, I just think it's bonkers. But I'm going to chill. I'll chill out on that. I'm not going to talk about it now, but I do want to talk about the 16-game slate we have this week. But before that, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Just kidding. I don't have any sponsors. I'm just a dude in his dork room with all my sports cards around. Anyways, let's get into these games, all right? There's 16 games. I classified them in 3 categories. And so here's category 1. These games are just whatevs. They're football games, and they're going to be on. We're going to start with the Commanders-Eagles. The Commanders are starting Josh Johnson. The Eagles are not starting their starters, or at least some of them. And Eagles win. Cool. 1 down. Browns-Bengals. This is the Blunder Bowl, I'm going to call it. Joe Burrow seems like he's been motivated the last couple of games. I think that'll continue. He'll stay motivated, want to put up some points. He only gets to play a few games a year, so he has to take advantage of it while we're at it. Myles Garrett, he'll also be a little motivated because he's going to try to get that sack record. I think he should have got it like 5 weeks ago, but also I'm certain they just try to shut him out since the rest of the Browns teams is kind of trash. But I think Myles Garrett will get that sack record, and hopefully he doesn't ruin Joe Burrow in the process. Just get your sack and then be done with it. However, I do think the Bengals are going to win. It's at home. The Browns have Shedeur Sanders. It's kind of a no-brainer for me. Packers-Vikings. I really got nothing. The Green Bay's the 7th seed. The Vikings still have J.J. McCarthy. I don't know if he's playing or not. I don't think he's playing. But alas, I think the Vikings still have a good defense. They have the other JJ, Justin Jefferson. They have a great coach, KOC. Hopefully one day he finds out, which quarter. I think him and Mike Shanahan are going to be, or Kyle Shanahan, my bad, are going to be doing a lot of that. I'm just a really great coach who can take anybody to the playoffs except for JJ McCarthy, and I'll never win until I get my quarterback. Maybe like Andy Reid. Andy Reid did really well. Anyways. Like I said, I've been doing this history project all week, and I learned about a bunch of people I'd never heard about. It's actually pretty cool what I've been working on. Hopefully I get a chance to show y'all. Anyways, I think Vikings win this one. I don't really have any reason. I just think the Packers are going to be They're packing it in, if you will. So go Vikings win this one in a meaningless game. Cowboys at Giants. I think that Jackson Dart will be motivated to make sure that the Giants get the worst pick they can get, right? So they can draft an O lineman instead of another QB. That's it. That's going to be why I picked the Giants to win in a shootout. It's going to be a crazy game, like 41-38 or something. But I just think that Jackson Dart will be playing to show his teammates and his new coach what he's got. Chiefs Raiders. Raiders want to lose this game to be the number one pick. If they get the number one pick, then they get Mendoza. If they get Mendoza, then they'll just ruin his career too. But I digress on that one. I think that the Raiders will want to be number one pick. I think they're going to want to lose. So, and Travis Kelce will want to win his last game. So this is going to be one of those weird games where KC wins like 13-0. It's going to be stupid. Like nothing but punts. Travis Kelce will get a touchdown. Something like that. 13-0 or 13-3 or 13-2. That'd be even dumber, right? Just like something crazy where it's like, all right, this game doesn't matter. And Chiefs don't really want to win it either. I'm sure they want to get a good draft pick because they're not going to be able to choose. This year and next year are going to be the only two times that they get to have a good draft pick before Mahomes is backing up and running again. So I'll go off on that later. But Pete Carroll will also be motivated to go through a carton of gum during that game. So I don't know. I think the Raiders are going to be packing it in worse than any team this week, and they're going to lose 13-0. Like something weird. All right. That's the whatevs games. Those are the games that if you decide to watch them, you're either a fan of those teams or a glutton for punishment, or you lost your fantasy football team league like I did. That'd be a weird punishment. You just like make somebody watch the Browns-Bengals game. Commanders-Eagles with no starters. Anyways. All right. So here's the next set of games. These are the ones that technically matter, right? Chargers-Broncos. Technically, this matters, right? Broncos can get the number one seed with a win. They're at home. And I just don't see them losing to the battered Chargers. I think the Chargers have a good shot to be a good team next year if they can keep their MVP Joe Alt healthy. The Broncos are going to win. Technically, this matters because if they lost, things could happen in the AFC. I just don't see it happening. Broncos get the number one seed. Dolphins, Patriots. Now, I think this is a sneaky letdown spot for the Patriots. Now, I'm not predicting it's going to happen or anything like that, but division game, the Patriots team, or some members of their team seem to want to assault people off like outside of the football field and not on the football field. So there's like a lot of negative energy, negative press this week. I'm sure they've had to answer all those questions. The Stephon Diggs thing, it could be a weird spot. Plus, the Dolphins have at least been trying to win recently. I mean, say what you want about Mike McDaniel, at least they're trying. That's nice. I like Mike McDaniel. Maybe he'd be a better offensive coordinator somewhere. But anyways, but let's just say what it is. It's going to be cold. The Dolphins can't play in the cold. So I'm not sure the Dolphins will be able to hang on. I don't think they'll be able to hold up. This would be a weird spot for the Pats to lose because then it would add more. It's going to add more fuel to the fire for the MVP conversation with Matt Stafford and Drake May and Christian McCaffrey. And I could actually see that happening. Them losing this game and it kind of be like up in the air about what did Drake May just lose the MVP? I don't know. I think the Pats are going to win. I think they're going to get the number 2 seed. I think that Mike Vrabel knows how to keep people locked in. So I'm going to say Pats, but I don't feel good about it. This is like this is one of those weird sneaky games. And then, so next game, Colts at Houston. The Colts at the Texans. I think the Texans are live in this playoffs. I've done like a mock how I think things are going to end up, and the Texans, based on that defense and the fact that they have a quarterback that has shown us that he's okay, can be dangerous. But for this game alone, Colts, Houston, I think Houston is still technically alive for the AFC South. Rivers is out, so the Disney movie is over. Riley Leonard is in, and so now the horror movie can continue. And I just think Houston crushes them. Nothing real big about that. Nothing real, galaxy brain about that. Next, Jets, Bills. Now, the Bills are 7th right now. They're in 7th place. And this game could technically matter because they could get a better seed. But I expect the Bills to just kind of win this game. They'll be the 6th seed because they can get a higher seed if the Broncos beat the Chargers and the Pats lose, then they could be a higher seed. It's a lot of weird math, but I just think the Bills are just going to handle business. It's the Jets. I don't think the Jets really want to win either. I don't think they've wanted to win since, 1969. So, yeah, I think the Jets will get spanked in this one. So Bills win. They're the 6th seed. It is what it is. All right, Rams and Cardinals. Now, I flirted with putting this in my the next tier of games, just simply because there's a little bit of movement here with the Rams. Now, the Rams have shot themselves in the foot continually in this, over and over and over in this season, especially in the last few weeks. I thought Matt Stafford for sure had the MVP locked up, and then they just kept losing these stupid heartbreaker games. Rashid Shaheed ran back a punt return, and just weird things happened. The Rams kind of fell apart. But Stafford may have lost the MVP. I don't think he should have. And so we'll see. There's a little bit more on that later. If the 49ers win tomorrow against the Seahawks, then this game won't matter. The Rams will be the 6th seed, and it is what it is. I think the Seahawks are going to win, which we'll talk about. So that would make, if the Seahawks do win, that would make the Rams the 5th seed if they win against the Cardinals. And they want the 5th seed. I can't stress that enough. If they get the 6th seed, they're going to play the Eagles or the Bears. Now, they can beat both of those teams, and I think the Rams I think they're good. And after this weekend, we'll assess how everything goes. But I think the Rams are right now, for me, the front runners in the NFC, despite their positioning. But if the Seahawks win tomorrow, the Rams can get the number 5 seed, and they want the number 5 seed because then they can play the winner of the NFC South, right? And then they can begin, at that point, they can begin what I'm preemptively calling the Rams Revenge Tour, and I'll tell you why when we get there. If the Rams do have something to play for, so the Seahawks win, I think they win this game. They get the 5th seed. Done. And the last technically matters game is Atlanta versus the Saints. Now, the Falcons are out of the playoffs. It's not going to do anything for them. But they can spoil the Bucs' chances. So, if the Falcons win, the Bucs are out. It doesn't matter if the Bucs win, which kind of makes it a little bit more fun since the Bucs play tomorrow. So if the Bucs win tomorrow, they have to hold their breath and wait to see what happens with the Falcons. Now, if the Falcons win, the Panthers win the division. The Panthers win the division, and that game doesn't matter. So the Bucs could win, and it won't matter. The night before, which we'll talk about in just a second, this game kind of matters, right? It technically matters. The Saints aren't going anywhere. The Falcons aren't going anywhere. But the Falcons can play spoiler, which will be kind of fun. But something that really interests me in this game, particularly as a sports card investor and collector and all that stuff, is Tyler Shuck. So, if Tyler Shuck is on kind of a heater against terrible teams, right? He's won 4 in a row. Last game, he had like a 144 or 144 passer rating. Like, he's been doing very well, and that intrigues me in that aspect to maybe do some investing or in his stuff. And the Falcons are just erratic enough, I think, to lose this game. Every single time I have used Bijan Robinson this year in FanDuel, he's laid an egg. They're just a weird team to figure out. They lose to the bad teams, they win to the good teams. Against the good teams, I think this is one of those games where Atlanta could lose to a bad team, technically the Saints. So I'm going to go with my heart here and say the Saints win. But it's not really going to matter for the Bucs. And here is where we get to the No Chill Podcast Week 18 Bowl Week presented by Zima. Since the college bowl weeks or college bowl games have been going on, and I'm in like this pool. A buddy of mine just said, "Hey, $10, enter in this pool." I do not watch college sports. I listen to sports talk radios and stuff, and hear a little bit of tidbits of each person and how people think they are, how teams are, and whatever. So I just filled out the bracket, and I'm winning. So in a weird world where I've had my worst fantasy football season, and I am doing okay in the college football pick'ems, if you will. So I don't know how, but it's part of my journey, I guess. So into these bowls, right? So I've just kind of like as a haha, I've made up some bowls. I want to say, I am not sponsored by anybody, and if I say something is presented by, it's just a joke. Please don't. I don't have any sponsors. It's ha ha. It's all supposed to align somewhere inside of these games. So without further ado, here is the first Week 18 Bowl Week presented by Zima. Panthers at Bucs. I'm calling this the Toilet Bowl. It's presented by Waffle House. So the winner of this game takes the NFC South. Kinda. Right? I already talked about if the Atlanta wins, it doesn't matter if the Bucs win. I picked with my heart for the Saints to win. So the Bucs are live here. But the winner takes the NFC South with a caveat. The Bucs started this season 6-2. I thought Baker Mayfield was going to be in the MVP talks. I came up with a nickname for Baker Mayfield and Emeka Egbuka, Eggs and Bakey. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. And they've been horrendous since. The first 8 games, they started 6-2. Since then, they're 1-7, including 4 in a row, and that's just not a great place. I don't know if Baker's playing injured. He likes to. I wouldn't say he likes to do that, but he's a gritty kind of guy. He ends up doing that. He did it with the Browns, which ended his tenure with the Browns. And I just don't think that. I just don't think that's going to change. They got all their weapons back essentially. They got Mike Evans back. They still have Egbuka. They got Chris Godwin. I think Bucky Irving's back. They're going, so they could easily win this game and make it to the playoffs. I just, on the other hand, think that the Panthers have volleyed back and forth between wins and losses for 8 straight games. They lost one, they won one. They lost one, they won one. And last week they lost. So, naturally, the next outcome should be a win, right? So, and I say should be. I don't like to live in should land because I should be a millionaire, but I'm not. I think the Panthers are, Bill Simmons likes to call them the good bad team. I think that's the Panthers. The Panthers are the good bad team this year, for at least in my opinion. So the winner of the toilet bowl, I'm gonna, if my heartstrings are correct, the Bucks win this game, and they win the division because I think that my heart's telling me Saints. However, my heart has told me a lot of bad things wrong things throughout this season, which is why my fantasy football season has gone so poorly. So I'm gonna go with my instincts on this one, and I'm gonna go with the Panthers. Sorry, Bakey. All right, next bowl is the Party Like It's 1999 Bowl, presented by Head and Shoulders. Now, this is the Titans and Jaguars. So the Titans and Jaguars is wonky. Now, Titans are out. They're not a very great team right now. They've won a few in a row, but overall, not a great team. It's Cam Ward's first season. We don't expect the Titans to be good right now. All right. The Jags, however, at the end of this weekend, with a lot of luck and a pocket calculator, the Jags could land anywhere from the number 1 seed in the AFC to the number 7 seed. That's crazy to me. So they could win the AFC South. They could be the number 1 seed. Now, again, a lot of things have to land their way, but I'm not saying it can't happen. So they could either be the 1 or the 7. Here's what I think is going to happen. NFL.com says that they're most likely to get the 3rd seed. I think so too. I think they're going to win this game pretty easily. And if the other outcomes of the weekend go as I believe they will, they'll just be the 3rd seed, right? Broncos, I already talked about, be the number 1 seed. The Pats, they could win. They're going to win. I think they're going to win against the Dolphins. Again, I don't know. That one could be a sneaky game. Anyways, the Jaguars are going to put away the Titans. I think they'll be the number 3 seed, and that is what it is, right? So Party Like It's 99 Prince, the prince that was promised, brings his nice hair to the Party Like It's 1999 Bowl, and they're the number 3 seed. All right, now the Mediocre Bowl. This one's presented by Ayahuasca. Now, you're probably thinking, man, who could it be? It's the Ravens Steelers. It's just mediocre teams, right? If the Ravens win, whoever wins, they go to the playoffs. They win the division, they go to the playoffs, and their mediocre seasons just kind of keep going. Now, winner takes the division and gets the number 4 seed. That's it. It's in Pittsburgh, and I, regardless of the outcome, I don't expect either one of these teams to be in the playoffs very long. But here's where I think it's really, really, really fun for the NFL is whoever. It doesn't matter who wins. Like, I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they're both going to lose regardless. They're going to lose in the first round, and it'll be all for naught. But I think this game has massive ripple effects for the NFL, and I say that because of this. Aaron Rodgers, probably his last game. I think the Ravens are going to win. I'll just say that now. I think the Ravens are going to win, and then they'll lose in the wild card round. The Aaron Rodgers' last game, probably, and if it's not, they win. His last game will be the next one. Is Tomlin going anywhere? Maybe. Is Lamar going somewhere? Or is John Harbaugh going somewhere? These are massive changes if they happen in the NFL, right? So I don't personally think that Mike Tomlin and Lamar Jackson are going anywhere. I think they're the ones staying. I think that Tomlin the Steelers have had 3 coaches their entire, since Chuck Noll, since they were winning Super Bowls in the 70s. So I just don't think Tomlin's out. I think Tomlin will have the opportunity to leave on his own merit. Now, if he chooses to leave this year, go fill in I don't know, go fill in a spot and then take a job, go fill in a spot on TV and then take a job somewhere else. Cool, I got it. But I just don't think he's going to be out. Lamar Jackson, you just don't get rid of the quarterback like that, right? Like if it's between a coach and a quarterback, you're going to want. I mean, those are the two most important factors in winning a Super Bowl, in my opinion, followed by special teams, and then, as Tom Brady showed us over and over and over and over, luck. But I just think those two are staying. So what does that mean for John Harbaugh? Now, I think John Harbaugh, regardless of what happens in this game, if they win or lose, I think John's out. For whatever reason, it took until last week to figure out that they needed to use one of the greatest running backs of all time at a higher level, right? And continually over the last couple of years, they've just fallen short with Lamar Jackson. Now, I don't think Lamar Jackson, this is my own personal opinion, I don't think Lamar Jackson is as elite as everybody says he is. I understand he's a great athlete. I understand he puts up great stats. I understand he's won a lot. I watch it and I'm not a big, huge believer in Lamar. I think he's great. Could he win a Super Bowl? Sure. I just think it's more likely that he doesn't than he does. I guess that would make sense. It's more likely everybody doesn't, but just go with me here. So regardless of what happens with this game, I think that John Harbaugh's out. I think that he's won a Super Bowl. I think it's been a long time since then, and I think that he'll just be out, right? So what does that mean for him? And I have a really, really crazy take, kind of a pie in the sky idea of where he should go. Or John's not listening to me, but if you are, John, check this out. This is what I think, and hear me out. John Harbaugh should go to the Bills. Now, the Bills. John Harbaugh with the Bills. I've said this for at least the last 4 years. I do not think that the Bills can win a championship with Sean McDermott. I think he's a good coach. I'm sure he's a good dude. I just don't see it. And I think it's Nick Wright has mentioned that no coach quarterback combo has ever won a Super Bowl after their 5th season together. I think they've been together like 8. I don't think, since 2018, I guess that's when, 8 or 9. So I just don't think that the Bills can win a Super Bowl with Sean McDermott. So when John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl, he had a huge quarterback, Joe Flacco, with a big arm, Joe Flacco, and they won a Super Bowl because he went off in the playoffs, and their defense, it was Ray Lewis's last breath, right? Last hurrah. So I think John Harbaugh has found to be successful with that type of quarterback, a big guy with a big arm. Now, what Josh Allen brings to the table that Flacco doesn't is his mobility. And Lamar Jackson leans on his athleticism and mobility all the time, right? Josh Allen does too. He just does it a little differently. And he's bigger. He can take bigger hits. If John Harbaugh went to the Bills, and follow me here, what if he brought Brian Daboll with him as his offensive coordinator? Daboll's a Buffalo dude. He's already been there. He's the guy that helped Josh Allen become Josh Allen. And what if he just went back? I'm not saying Brian Daboll should be the coach. I think he should be the offensive coordinator. Him or Mike McDaniel, because I like Mike McDaniel. But again, I'm just thinking pie in the sky here. John Harbaugh goes to the Bills after they get rid of Sean McDermott, because I don't think the Bills are going to last very long in these playoffs either. They don't have a defense that works. You can't lean on somebody like a quarterback so much before he just crumbles, or before the team crumbles. And the Bills aren't going to go anywhere, I don't think. So A byproduct of this mediocre bowl could be John Harbaugh, or the next week, could be John Harbaugh being fired. Sean McDermott gets fired a week later or so. And then he takes over the job in Buffalo. Buffalo gets a new stadium, so they get rid of all that bad juju of those playoff losses or the Super Bowl, the 4 straight Super Bowl losses in the 90s. They get rid of all the bad juju of Tyler Bass missing a field goal a couple years ago. They get rid of all the bad juju from the 13-second game, even though that was in Kansas City. Like, they get rid of all that bad juju in with the new. Josh Allen has a new baby because his wife's pregnant. All these things kind of line up for next year, and Mahomes is not going to be 100% or if playing at all next year. So I think that next year could be the Bills' year, just like the Bills say every year. But it kind of feels like it's getting lined up for that. It's just not. I don't think it's this year. And I don't think it's this year solely because of Sean McDermott. So I digress. I'll get back to this. John Harbaugh out as the quarterback out as a quarterback for the Ravens. They bring in another guy. I don't have anybody yet for that. I've been thinking about this Harbaugh for McDermott thing for like 4 weeks now. So I just think that would be cool. But the Bills need a change of face as well. And I think that would be really, really, really neat. But I got to chill because I'm getting way ahead of myself. I think the Ravens win this game. Their defense has been coming on. I think that their backup quarterback is better than the Steelers' actual quarterback right now. They're not playing. DK Metcalf is not playing again. And so Aaron Rodgers will get a chance to go on his ayahuasca darkness retreats a little earlier. You'll have the winner to compose himself, and then we may never see him again until it's time for us to talk about him at the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Or maybe he joins his brother. He finally rekindles that, and they can do college football. Anyways, this game could go down as a game that starts restructuring the AFC because of the dominoes that fall with coaches and players and quarterbacks. So watch out for that. I think this would be a turning point for the AFC. All right. Next one is the Oh My Bowl, presented by Wet n Wild Nail Polish. Whatever. It's the Bears Lions game. So if the Bears win, they lock up the number 2 seed and get to play the injury-plagued Packers at home. I mean, that's what you want. You want to play an injured team. You want to be at home, keep all the momentum, do all that. And it'd be a nice little, like little brother, big brother, finally, little brother beats the big brother game. You know, like, oh, we finally did it. We beat the Packers. I mean, I know they did it the other day, but oh, yay, look at us. It's kind of like when I beat Jeremy in basketball when I was like 12 for the very first time. Now, I know you don't know who Jeremy is, and nor does it matter, really. But just know it was pretty significant to me, and so much so that I'm comparing it to the Bears beating the Packers in an NFL game. So I think, you know, if the Bears win, they play the Packers. But I think not so fast. We've seen this before. In Week 18 of the 2021 season, so it would have been early 2022, in Dan Campbell's first season, biting kneecaps as the Lions coach, the Lions went into Week 18 with a 2-13-1 record. And nothing to play for, obviously, 2-13-1. The Packers, on the other hand, in that game, were 3-13. They had the eventual season MVP in Aaron Rodgers. They had the number 1 seed locked up and nothing to play for. But the Lions came in and surprisingly took the Packers down, 37-30. Now, I don't like I said, that game didn't have really any bearing. It didn't have any bearing on the playoffs or anything like that. It just was what it was. The Packers went on. But the Packers went on to lose in the division round, right? So if history is going to repeat itself, the Lions were playing for nothing but pride, right? That's a Dan Campbell thing. We're playing hard and pride and all that. It's going to be the same process, the same premise here. I think that the Lions come out ready to play. I think they're going to hit the Bears pretty hard at first. They're going to try to get back for losing the first go against Ben Johnson, right? The OC from the Lions is now the coach for the Bears, as we all know. And I think that Lions could win this game. And actually, honestly, as weird as it sounds, I'm taking the Lions for this game. They don't have anything to play for. I just think that Lions are going to come out biting kneecaps and hit the Bears harder than they expect, just like they hit the Packers a little harder than they expected a couple years ago. And Lions win this game. So there you go. Lions take home the first Oh My Bowl with the Lions and the Bears. And the biggest game of the weekend, hands down, I didn't even come up with anything like fancy-pantsy for this bowl title. This is the Make It or Break It Bowl. Make or Break Bowl, right? Presented by Sam Darnold's future. This game couldn't be more important to the standings. It couldn't be more important to Sam Darnold's career. And here's why. My hottest take for this year's postseason is Sam Darnold is the most important QB in this year's playoffs. You have some amazing new young people. You have some older folks that are, that have been here before. You have some of our most elite quarterbacks in the NFL with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson potentially not having that great of teams, right? You have Mahomes and Burrow are out, if we're still calling Burrow top. You got the new guys are on the up and coming, but they're all second-year quarterbacks. You got Trevor Lawrence, who, he may be another critical piece to all this stuff too, but I think this is make it or break it for Sam Darnold. The defense, the Seahawks defense and special teams are elite, and they were my highest scoring player in fantasy this season. It was that bad, but I also had their defense. They were amazing. The Seahawks have an elite wide receiver and a solid run game. The Seahawks could be the number one seed and have the 12s, backing them up every home game until the Super Bowl. But they also have a quarterback that has fallen apart in big moments within the last year. This exact same situation happened last year with a chance to win is the number one seed, division, Sam Darnolded. Can I make that a verb? He Darnolded. That's actually kind of mean. I don't want to put too much. I like Sam Darnold, but that's why I think he's so critical. I remember watching him at USC. That's what I'm saying. This might be the last time I watched a football game. I was in Vegas. I was living in Vegas. I turned on USC and I started watching him. This is before he got drafted, so it must have been 2017. Yeah. And I was like, wow, who's this guy? He's got a big arm. And they won. I don't even know who they were playing. I was like, this guy's awesome, Sam Darnold. And then I was waiting for him to get to the NFL. I've been paying attention. He went to the Jets, so you just automatically just throw away his first 3 or 4 years because nobody can win with the Jets. They're the worst. They're just the worst. Goes to Carolina, whatever. We know his history. But if this year ends like it ended last year, he may never get another chance again. As hard as that sound, or bad as that sounds, if you can't hold it together at the end of the year, you're just not a viable option. So If Sam Darnold can play manageable football with sparks of the big plays that we've seen throughout the season, because I mean we've seen some big games from him throughout the season, throughout this whole year. The Seahawks are the most dangerous team in the playoffs. That's it. If he just plays manageable ball, doesn't turn it over, puts it in the end zone, a good amount of times, while if he just puts it in the end zone during the game and doesn't crumble when they need him, the Seahawks are the number 1 seed, and they are the most dangerous team in the playoffs. But if he falls apart like last season, then none of the Seahawks' strengths matter, and I think they'll win the first. If they don't win this game and they have to go to I think they'd be the 5th seed. They have to go play. They'd go play They would go play the winner of the Toilet Bowl, the NFC South. They'll win that game, but that's as far as I think they'll go. So tomorrow's game is huge for Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. It'll tell us what we're going to see in the playoffs. I think the Seahawks win this game since the 49ers are beat up. And all season long, I really haven't believed in the 49ers. They've gotten hurt. Mac Jones came in. 2 of my least quarterbacks that I don't think are very effective, or that I don't believe in as much as other people do. Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, whatever. I don't see them going the distance. But if they get that number 1 seed, they might. But if old slinging Sammy D tosses the ball to the 49ers 3 times, then I just won't trust him to win anything meaningful. So this is absolutely a make or break spot for Sam Darnold. And as for the 49ers, if they win, they'll play at home for the rest of their season, which I think is pretty cool. They just don't ever have to pack their suitcases. They hang out at home, drive to work, or whatever they do. It'd be cool. I'd also like to see Christian McCaffrey get to 1,000 receiving yards to complete his second 1,000 season, just to not be considered for the MVP again. As we all know, you just have to play one position or break some 70-year-old record, and then you'll get. I don't know. I vehemently opposed to how the MVP is handed out. And honestly, after my little research project I was doing, I have a little bit of weird data on it about if you win the MVP, do you win the finals, or do you win the finals? If you win the MVP, do you win the Super Bowl? And really only do that if you win the MVP and the Super Bowl in the same season. You're like a legend, Terry Bradshaw, Bart Starr, Mahomes, these kind of people. Tom Brady never did it. He actually lost twice, but I don't want to talk about Tom Brady. Anyways, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks on this one. I'm going with a lot of my heart on this. I like the Seahawks. I think I'm a fan of their team. I was a huge fan of Marshawn Lynch and that team that was going on in the mid 2000s or 2010s. Sean Alexander. I've always just kind of followed the Seahawks. Being from Idaho, the Seahawks in Denver are kind of always there. You're just kind of watching them, or you're a huge fan, and it is what it is. But I'm gonna go with the Seahawks on this one, but I'm not holding my breath. But this make or break bowl, presented by Sam Darnold's future, is massive for this year's playoffs. So. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, the podcast. I don't know if I said anything groundbreaking, but I said it, and the ground is not broken, so whatever. I'm having a lot of fun putting this stuff together. I actually think I'm having more fun doing the research part of it. Like I said, I kind of went hyper-focus mode for about 3 days, for the last 3 days. I got up doing this whole, I have this whole spreadsheet. It's been kind of ridiculous. It's for nothing. It's for me, and it's for fun. But this is what I used to do as a kid when I was younger, just going over sports stuff and writing all these things down. And what I was trying to do was find corollaries between, the historical precedents of the NFL, and to try to figure out who I think is going to win this Super Bowl based off historical context and adding in what's gone on this season. And actually uncovered, there's somebody I'm now obsessed with, and there's going to be a little bit more on it. So I'm kind of obsessed right now with Jim Plunkett, because if you guys don't know about Jim Plunkett, there's a lot of people right now that's kind of like matching his kind of career, but one person being Baker Mayfield. He was a Heisman winner from Stanford in 1970. 71, he got drafted to the New England Patriots, and they went from 2-12 the season before to 6-8 his first season. It looked like he was on the up and up, and then it just kind of like didn't really go anywhere from there. He suffered a ton of injuries because in his first 3 seasons he was sacked more than anybody to that point. And in those 3 years, he was the most sacked person in the NFL. It was 112 sacks. Archie Manning was second with 111, and then the next one was 89. It's like he was getting destroyed out there. Archie too. They were both just getting destroyed. And then he was injured and then didn't play for 1978. And then the Raiders, he went to San Francisco and then didn't play in 78. And then the Raiders picked him up, and then he came in for a dude with a broken leg and won a Super Bowl MVP that year. It's one of the coolest stories. I'm super obsessed with it right now. Everything in my life right now has been like coming back to Jim Plunkett. So I'm writing something right now to put it all together. But it's so. Anyways, I'll chill. But it's been a cool week, just kind of like hanging out. All right, that'll do it. Accidentally ran out of space in my my Surface Pro, which is what I'm using. I need to get a new setup, but I appreciate y'all listening. Still trying to get used to this whole podcasting thing. So, hey, can't wait to chat later. Appreciate y'all. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.